us.
Mahalo nui Anya for that introduction. Ano ai me ke aloha nui kākou. My name is Mina Viritua Jr. I'm a current coordinator for the Pacific Internship Program for Exploring Sciences. I'm from Hilo. Just a quick introduction. Naka o Mina Viritua ko inoa no Hilo mai au naka hau o mana ke akunio naka hau mana lo kumole o hakalau lau o honoli ku ka Hawaii o lehia ku one hanau. So I'm a Hilo native. Born and raised. I'm also alumni as well as alumni of HCC as well as UH Hilo. And today we're going to be talking about the Kaʻao framework and having our panelists share a little bit about their journey in academia and their current professions in Aloha ʻAina. But before we get into the details of the Kaʻao framework and today's activities, I would like to first send a big mahalos to my kumuhula and my mentor, Dr. Taupori Tangaro, who actually created this student transformation framework that we utilize here at UH Hilo to better understand the narratives our haumana to effectively support them on their journey through life, academia, into the workforce. So jumping into the Kaʻao framework, I actually put a small PowerPoint together to just kind of showcase the different nodes of the Kaʻao framework. But the Kaʻao framework is a process of transformation of how we think, see, and understand ourselves and our environment. The Kaʻao in its most potent application asks very personal questions. Who am I? The world tells us who we are. Our parents tell us who we are. Our community informs of who we are. But do we know personally who we are? What is my voice? Do I know my voice? Is my voice the voice of others solely? Or do I have a unique message that I bring to the world? What is my value? How valuable am I to my community, to the world I live in? So the Kaʻao framework will help us to answer these deep and personal questions. So, Drew, can you ho'olele ka poka mana ke olo olo? So the first node in the Kaʻao framework is what we call the hua, and the hua is the Hawaiian word for a seed, and in the context of the Kaʻao, it's the catalyst, the idea of conception, newness, dreams, desires. For example, Pele was the hua or the catalyst for Hi'iaka to go and fetch Kaʻao from Kauai. So today we're going to ask our panelists, what was your hua? What was the catalyst for you beginning this journey in academia, in the profession that you chose to pursue in Aloha ʻAina? What was that particular path? What did it look like? And what do you plan to do with this? And I want to go ahead and share my hua and my Kaʻao real quickly. And for the most part, like I told you, right, I'm a native Hilo boy, and my catalyst is a pretty typical one. I had a lot of time on my hand post-graduation. I didn't have much direction, nor did I have the aspirations to directly jump into my higher education. And that led me down a different path, right? Too much time on my hand. I loved surfing, so I did a lot of that. And I eventually found myself getting in trouble, you know. So I got in trouble with the law, and being in the jail cell, you know, it definitely helped me reflect on that decisions that got me to that place. And that's where I got to reflect and really understand that I have more to contribute to my ohana, to my community, to my ʻAina. And I decided to seek help and find someone to kokua me. So that's what I did. And I got into education. I reached out to someone who could help me, and he did. Which brings us to our next node of the Kaʻao framework, which is the ha'alele. Next slide, Drew. And the ha'alele, the Hawaiian word for ha'alele, means to separate, to leave, or to abandon, depart. Ha'alele in the context of Kaʻao is the death of one understanding and the birth of a new one. The separation from your innocence, to some degree. The example that I provide is that the Polynesian migration was not something overnight. And it took years of preparation to embark on that journey. So the ha'alele in the mythic context means to leave your normal comfort zone and to step into that challenge in unfamiliar territory that will help grow the way you view life, your family, the natural environment, and yourself. For me, the ha'alele was separating from that physical space that I occupied prior to being in college. I surrounded myself with a different community at that time that had different aspirations and goals that definitely influenced me, that led me down that path of getting in trouble and having to realize my my function, my purpose, you know, within my community, my ohana, my ʻAina. So that was kind of my ha'alele. I had to physically separate from those people. And college was that environment that is totally new, that was new to me. And that was the new environment that I had to step into, right? The unfamiliar territory that helped build and gave me challenges and build my character and my aspirations and clarified my function and my goal in my life. So that's the ha'alele aspect to the kaʻao. The third node of the kaʻao is the huakaʻi. And hua, we break that word down, we have the word hua and kaʻi. And hua, similar to the catalyst, right? And the kaʻi is to lead, to guide. And the huakaʻi is the day-to-day journey, what we go through, right? On this journey in academia, in our professions. And for me, my huakaʻi was, it was filled with a lot of fun, but a lot of challenges also, right? I am a very heavy Hawaiian studies background. I struggled really a lot in my English courses. And I admit that I had to, you know, retake my English courses 3 times during my undergraduate because it wasn't easy for me, you know, and I had to put in that work. I had to go and get extra kokua from Hilo at the Writing Center. And, you know, that was something that I had to overcome because as local kids, we don't want to ask for help, right? We want to try to do it all on our own. We're always taught to never ask questions, right? You just ho'olohe, pakamaha, pakawaha, ho'olohe kapepeo, hanakalima. So that was a big challenge for me, you know, and I was able to arise to the occasion and meet that challenge through the support of my kako'o and my network, you know. So that was that ha'alele for me. I mean, the huaka'i for me, that day-to-day journey. And then we have our last node of the kaʻao, which is the hoʻina, which means to return, to reintegrate back into your community, implementing these new dimensions of growth and learning into the family and the community. Kaʻao is always digging deeper though, right? Looking at how your experience will help you to give back to those people and those places that brought that understanding to your function and your purpose, right? So that's kind of, for me, my hoʻina is where I'm at currently. I'm able to be in this really cool position where I get to help these awesome conservation efforts in my community, and at the same time provide some really great transformative experiences for our next generation of Aloha ʻAina warriors and help them clarify their path, their function, their niche within their community, their ohana, and within their ʻAina. So with that, I want to turn and ask our panelists to go ahead and share some of their kaʻao. And similar to our last panel from last week, I want to have this an open discussion. Feel free to drop questions in the chat, and we can just kind of have a discussion open like that, and we'll just kind of run with it. Yeah. Anybody want to volunteer their kaʻao first? Before you share your kaʻao, I also want you to share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, your mountains, your rivers, your onehana, you know, these places that shape you and help clarify, you know, who you are. And before you start sharing your kaʻao, definitely share a little bit more about who you are and where you're coming from. Yeah, any volunteers? I'll just call him Devon because I love Devon. He was my my last coordinator hoa with pipes, so I'm gonna pick on Devon and he's gonna go ahead and share his kaʻao first. Mahalo, Devon.
All right, mahalo, Mina. Aloha, everybody. My name is Devon Aguiar. I'm originally from Ewa on the island of Oahu. I came to Hilo just over a decade ago in 2011 to pursue my college degree, and kind of been around since, but I'll get more into that later. Yeah, I basically, I grew up in Ewa, this rural kind of suburban part of Oahu, but pretty much every weekend growing up, my parents would take me over to the east side and we go to the beach. So really like spent a lot of time over there, kind of getting to know beaches on the east side. Yeah, basically, I just like being outdoors. I have a interest in anything marine, aquatic, essentially. My free time, I love body surfing, bodyboarding, hiking, photography, just kind of down to try new things. Yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Can you talk about your catalyst, Devin? What was the catalyst for you pursuing your higher education as well as the profession that you decided to go into?
Yeah, so a little bit of background for me. I'm a only child, so growing up, it was constantly like, oh, if I wanted to do something, it's kind of like you go out and do it yourself, or like just figure it out yourself kind of thing. No, older sibling or to really guide you, or like younger sibling to have to like watch all the time. So I really kind of like, as a kid, would just kind of go out and do things. And I really I have a really funny story with kind of how I got to where I am now. I basically in high school told myself like I didn't want to work in like a cubicle 9 to 5 office job all day. That's really like my inspiration for getting into this, like just wanting to be outdoors. Which like looking back at my back at myself, it's like, no, that's really, I mean, it's really not like the most valid, like highest reason to go into this. But that was my reason at the time. But also partially my parents were really outdoorsy kind of people. My mom used to work at Sea Life Park and Waikiki Aquarium. She actually went to college and majored in zoology and did some kind of marine stuff. And my dad would always be fishing, diving growing up. So really like ocean kind of people I grew up with, which also kind of influenced me. And like my mom, for example, kind of having those jobs, working at like Waikiki Aquarium and Sea Life Park kind of showed me a little bit of, oh yeah, I can actually get a job doing stuff outdoors, working with animals, things like that. So that kind of enticed me to um, look into like marine science for college. But I chose like, so I came to UH Hilo in 2011, and I chose that because being the only child, I just wanted to get away. Also, like that, fresh out of high school kind of mindset, just wanted to get away from my parents because I'm the center of attention, all eyes on me, just kind of wanted to get away, but also, kind of grow and develop on my own as well. And I think that was a really, really good choice because it was still close enough where I could, fly home on the major holidays, stuff like that. But that really kind of was like my sort of hua of like, oh, I just kind of want to get away, kind of want to do this, just kind of see where it goes, and just kind of knowing that, well, it's gonna be me kind of pushing myself. My parents will be behind me, but it's really, I'm gonna be kind of in the driver's seat doing this.
What were some of your challenges and your successes during your huaka'i? I mean, you kind of talked about, the ha'alele aspect of like leaving, the bird nest, right? Your punana, your comfort zone with your makuas. Can you talk about some of the challenges and the successes on your huaka'i, on the day-to-day journey of your kaʻao?
Yeah, I think so. I'm probably, as I was kind of thinking about what I was going to say today, it's probably going to kind of hop around timeline wise. It's not really going to be on a set timeline. And like just like the huaka'i kind of aspect, I think, I don't know, the way I look at it is kind of like there's just multiple huaka'i, I guess. Like, I mean, I've gone through a few. I'm most likely on one now. There's most likely, anywhere from 3 to 5 more down the line or something. But um I'll start first with just um, the huaka'i of coming here for school. It was a big change coming to Hilo. I didn't have any immediate family here or anything, so really kind of coming here with no connections, having to meet people, make connections, and also just kind of like that big step of like, oh, you're on your own now. You can make your own food, you do your own laundry, you pay your own bills, kind of stuff. Oh, wow. But I liked it, it's kind of like that freedom that I was looking for. But also then I kind of skip ahead a little bit. I think of another huaka'i probably, well, I think it was like 3/4 of the way when I was a junior in my undergrad of taking this course called Ku'ula, which was this course that was essentially, for lack of a better word, kind of integrating Hawaiian and traditional knowledge and kind of this, the Western approach to science, Western perspective on science and understanding, kind of combining the two and kind of seeing, what advantages of each there are and how you can kind of best use those. And we went on a physical huaka'i to Kauai, and we kind of went all around Kauai. That was like my first time going there. So that was also another like, oh, this is Kauai, this is pretty cool. But we went at a time before the ʻAina CPSFA, which is basically a management area that allows the ʻAina community to kind of essentially define their own rules for management. Like one of the rules they propose is if you want to catch octopus or taco, you need to use a spear, like a traditional spear. You cannot be like freehand. You cannot use any of this fancy kind of fishing stuff. You got to do it the old-fashioned way. And prior to the implementation of that, we visited, so we really got to see kind of where they're coming from, why they're proposing these rules, what was going on there. Really hearing a lot from the community, and it really kind of, I call it the ha'alele, or I mean the huaka'i kind of, because me coming from like suburban Eva Beach, I was like, oh wow, it really kind of showed me like how important food security is, natural resources are, knowing your place, knowing the seasons of a place, the tides, what lives where, stuff like that, how important that is, like how applicable that still is in the modern days. That really kind of like, wow, this is really, really such a different thing than what I grew up with, where, oh, you just go down to the store, go Foodland, get this, go get that, so that was a really, really big kind of like moment for me. And then real quick, I noticed I've been talking a lot, so I don't want to take up too much time, but another quick one was entering grad school. Just because there's that big kind of stigma with grad school. Oh, it's grad school. There goes your social life. There goes your fun, this and that. And that was kind of a big leap at the time. And I had a basic understanding of how graduate school worked, but not really. Like I tell people now, it's like, don't think that it's this really big shift. It's essentially like undergrad, but a little more responsibility on your end, a little more work and stuff like that. It's nothing you haven't been through before. But graduate school is another one, and really kind of moving from the kind of student to like the leader. Like now you're responsible for leading undergraduate students. Now you're responsible for your own project and things like that. That was another kind of big sort of leap for me.
Mahalo, Devon. Real quickly, can you tell the audience what do you do for a living, like where you currently work, and maybe kind of a little bit about a ʻAina aspect to add to that?
Yeah, so I'm currently, my job title is kind of complicated. I'm pretty much a RCUH employee, so hired by UH, but I'm on contract to the Division of Aquatic Resources in East Hawaii here in Hilo. And essentially the two biggest like tasks of my job are trying to implement a marine monitoring program for Division of Aquatic Resources, or DAR, here in East Hawaii, and then also helping DAR to set up this statewide management plan for wetlands and alkaline pools in Hawaii. So kind of a really interesting kind of position. It's, these two kind of almost different things in a way. And the ʻAina for that, kind of, I don't know, honestly, kind of maybe 50% preparation, 50% luck, honestly. Like it, I feel like all, my time in undergrad and whatnot, like watching positions, jobs get posted, like you never saw anything for DAR in East Hawaii. So I think I was just really lucky to kind of have this opportunity show up for me. And also a few people that really suggested I apply for this as well, because I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I could do, take this position, but I had a really strong support for that. But also honestly, like the preparation too, of just kind of like having skills under my belt, making connections that, you know, for people that could write me like letters of rec or be a reference, and, you know, things down to like species ID, or just kind of knowing things of like, oh yeah, like one of the questions I got asked is like, oh, how would you design this? And I would say, well, the first thing, knowing East Hawaii, is I would want to like figure out a field season because the weather can shift so much. So first we need to figure out when we can actually go out and what's actually like feasible to do. So little, I think little nuance kind of things like that really kind of help me get this position.
Mahalo nui, Devon, for sharing. I think we can just move on to our next panelist. Mary, you want to go, Mary?
Yes, thank you so much for having me today. So half a day at Zantiro. So I'm from Saipan in the Northern Mariana Islands, and a warm aloha to everyone. So my name is Mary Fem Urenia, and I graduated from Hilo with my bachelor's degree in environmental science with a certificate in planning. And I'm really honored to be here to share my Kaʻao, and I'm really happy to have heard from Devon because I graduated with Hilo with my undergraduate degree, and I'm currently working as a coastal resource planner here in the Sinamai, or Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. And this was just such a wonderful thing for me to reflect back on those 4 years. And honestly, there are just so much to digest and absorb, but I ultimately came to, you know, just the realization that this is what built me, like leaving my small home island for a bigger island that offered more, you know, academic, scientific opportunities. And I'm just really thankful to the UH system for, you know, encouraging and offering these opportunities to students like me from Micronesia. And yeah, so I was born and raised here on Saipan. I'm not sure if you know, but it's a 30 to 45 minute flight north of Guam. So we're close to Guam, south of Japan. I felt like I was a representative of Saipan when I was in Hawaii, but I felt so welcomed to be at a home far away from home. And I would say that my hua started when I was volunteering for beach cleanups with my environmental group in high school. They also did this thing called Coral Watches, which is a citizen science-based coral health monitoring program that is has a database, worldwide database that is operated by the University of Queensland. So that happened. I grew up with white sandy beaches. That's what I knew growing up, and returning to that in high school sparked something in me that, you know, there's something here that I'm just interested in. And most of my life, I felt like I was pretty sheltered. My parents expected me to, you know, get a good education and go off to college somewhere because they wanted me to learn more about the world. I definitely came with a small island world, you know, small island mindset. But when I went into Hilo, I definitely was exposed to all these different people, and I learned about the different cultures and, you know, learning about the science and how culture is integrated into that. So my goal moving to my Huakai was to return back, you know, my ʻAina, return back to my community to give back, because I felt like as a high school student that there should be more environmental work done here in the Sinamai. There we have a lot of issues going on, and I wanted to learn about that. I wanted to explore that and understand what science is telling us. I chose Hilo because I really wanted to be in a place that had smaller like class sizes and was very, you know, I didn't think about it at that time, but now when I think about it, it's wonderful, like community oriented. And before I left Saipan, the island was actually hit with a Category 3 typhoon called Sodalor, and it gave me time to think about, it's like my transition phase from high school student, graduated. I was doing this internship with the Coral Reef Initiative, moving into this new space. And I felt really eager to just do something for myself, like to learn and grow. So I left Saipan when it was when it was recovering from a terrible typhoon. We didn't have power for a few months. This was the first huge typhoon like that. I want to say it was a 10-year, maybe even 10-year storm. So moving into Hilo, I actually went alone. I had no connections there, or maybe I had one, but I didn't have many connections, and I didn't have my family to follow me. I went there just with an open mind and an eagerness to learn. And I was very thankful to, have a very, I would say rich, coursework. I took general education classes, which made me learn more about, the humanities and, philosophy and anthropology, which is so important. And then of course, my general education, my foundational work, which is the geography and environmental science studies, which made me learn more about the importance of place. Place is so critical to addressing environmental issues because each place is very different, but you can learn from one place to another. So a lot of my coursework in, Hawaii can somehow translate into the Sinamai. Of course, I have to understand the discrepancies because the cultures are different, but there's similarities. And learning about, of course, what the science has to say. I learned about climate change, which I didn't really understand so much. I took Dr. Proy's environmental science class, as well as natural resources with Dr. Shui and her natural hazards class, and learning about, our planet, our Earth, how it all interacts together with our, human sphere, the social part. And during that time, I think it was so hard to think about this, but I want to share this with you guys. So of course I was taking these classes, but one thing that really sparked another passion of mine was when I volunteered for the Students of Sustainability, which was a good friend of mine. She was also a colleague. We were both interns for the sustainability committee, and we also contributed to Earth Day Fair. So that's why I'm thankful I'm here, because I'm contributing back to this space, and I love the Lā Honua events. It's great that you guys are perpetuating this. But I helped out with the sustainability efforts through the Students of Sustainability Research Club by helping out with a zero waste initiative. So we were trying to push for collection of composting around the campus, and also the maintenance of that, which we developed a team who would voluntarily and also got paid positions to manage and maintain the compost piles, which I think are still there. They're close to the agriculture building. So yeah, I helped with that. And I also led in my last 2 years, the Students of Sustainability. And throughout that time, I really felt like I was being pushed out of my comfort zone because quite frankly, I was growing, I'm a pretty sheltered person, kind of shy, maybe have some anxieties. Those were things that I was dealing with internally too, throughout my 4 years, and still deal with today. But having this feeling of purpose and, direction to push for something bigger than myself drove me to attending meetings with stakeholders and pushing for events. And in return, there were other opportunities that were provided for me. I remember I'm always thankful for the sustainability conferences that happen, because it provided huakais, like physical field trips for me to learn. And it's funny because people from here, they're like, oh, have you gone to Ala Moana? Or and I've never been there. I've been to the other places I've been to Oahu or on I think the west side to learn about you know, traditional Hawaiian practices, about the place there. I've never really been downtown Honolulu, and that's something I wish I've experienced more, like just going around to different parts of Hawaii and learning. But yeah, I think my those huakais really shaped, like I also had huakais from classes too, and those really shaped my understanding of building this background on how the science can explain the different processes that are happening that need to be maybe managed properly, or you know, fixed through human behavior, like more awareness. And so I'm here now in Saipan. I left Saipan and returned back with my degree, and now in my capacity, working in my capacity as a coastal resource planner under the CNMI Division of Coastal Resource Management. And the work I do, honestly, it's kind of funny because it mirrors the work that I've done in Hilo coursework, and also just like extracurricular with the Students of Sustainability. But I review plans and I also help develop them. And one plan that is very helpful right now came from the Smart Safe Growth initiative that was happening during my time at Hilo here in the CNMI, in response to another terrible typhoon that hit in 2018 called Typhoon Yutu. And there was just a lot of funding federally to help recover and plan. So now we push towards a sustainable development plan, which I helped during my time. I started working in this position in 2019 before the whole pandemic situation. So it gave me a lot of time to learn about things I did not understand, you know, using the knowledge that I had to learn about my island better. Like, it helped me gain a better understanding of where I was born and raised. And in my capacity, one ways I give back to my community is by mentoring interns with a program that is under my position. I lead the shoreline monitoring program to understand how sand moves along our Saipan Lagoon so that we can address erosion. But one of the things that I've learned too is that with this, like, you know, of course, we're gathering this data, how are we going to, we need to move this towards management actions and pushing towards more cohesive planning. So that's where I'm at now. I feel like this is like, I continue to be a learning, to learn. And I'm just very thankful though to have this foundation from all of the people that help encourage me throughout my years at Hilo and before then too. So now I'm supporting the next generation through my mentor, through being a mentor, which is like a reciprocal thing. And one of the biggest advices I want to give to those who are in the Malama ʻAina career is to not give up, because it can be very, there's a lot of obstacles that come in this field, and you have to be persistent and you have to learn how to strategize, because there's just going to be a lot of pushback. And those were things that I was experiencing too when I was at the Students of Sustainability, was how are you navigating through all these organizations? Like, one way, of course, is to talk to them, to figure out what they need, what they would like from us. And, you know, learning about their missions and objectives and trying to build that understanding of why, and of course, the science, and builds on that. So one thing that I can definitely advise you to do starting today is to start looking for folks that you can talk to who are experienced and educated, who may be willing to mentor you throughout your educational journey. You probably do have them now, but just, you know, talking story like how you're doing now on what potential solutions are there or what potential careers there are. I definitely did not know about being a planner until I was starting to look for jobs in my junior year. And from then I began seeking that pathway of being a planner. And lo and behold, a lot of my coursework does provide that general understanding and knowledge to help me into this pathway. So with that, I just want to end with a big mahalo and Sizus Ma'asi for having me here today to chat with you guys. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, Mary. That was awesome. Very inspirational. Thank you for sharing your Kaʻao with us. I'm just going to go ahead and ask Kamala to go and share her Kaʻao. Te olu olu. Who are you, Kamala? Nohe mai oi.
Aloha kako. Mahalo for having me. This is a big story I'm gonna have to tell. No, my name is Kamala Anthony. My mother is fourth generation Chinese in Hawaii. My father came to Hawaii when he was 12 years old with his father. They're from my father was born in Suva, in Fiji, and my mother is actually first generation college graduate in her family. And my father's father came here, my grandfather came here to go to school at UH Manoa. So I do come from, you know, a family that values education and academia. So I had a foot in the door, I like to say, and a privilege in that sense to continue on the journey that I'm on today. So I'm the youngest of 6. So unlike Devin, I get plenty sisters and brothers who boss me around and plenty people to play with. I also am from Waiuli. So I grew up at Waiuli, also known as, some might know it as Richardson Beach Park. So my onehana is Keaukaha. That's my comfort zone. I can't say that the work that I'm doing now was a dream that I ever dreamt of doing, but rather something that kind of just fell into my path. I think that the dream came from the experiences that I had as a child, you know, being able to eat the fish from my front yard and the coconuts in the tree, and understanding the ono of being able to utilize the resources and the people around you, to build pilina with people around you in order to have the most fun and eat the best food. I mean, what more do we want in life but to be happy and to do those things, right? So I think a lot of my childhood upbringing, all of it for that matter, has to do with the work that I'm doing today and being able to pass and share those experiences and make sure that they're carried on so that all of the people after me can live that type of lifestyle. I'm so fortunate to have lived the lifestyle that I am living, and I do not take it for granted. And so, you know, thinking about, that's kind of my hua in a sense, and thinking about my ha'alele, I did a lot of traveling I did a lot of traveling through school. School was definitely a tool throughout this whole journey. Like academia has been my tool to get to the position that I am, or the work that I'm doing today. My mom got me heavily involved in volunteer work in high school. I spent a lot of time doing after school programming or programs that allow you to go to different places. And then when I was a senior, I decided to go away for college and leave my comfort zone. In a sense, that was my ha'alele, to leave my home. You know, my home was everything. If I had to pass burnouts, that was a big deal for me, right? I never like leave home. So that was a big thing, and I traveled a lot, and I think I got more interested in traveling and understanding the world around me, and then for me to realize that there's no better place than home. And coming from a family where, you know, we grew up understanding that our relationship to one another is important, and our relationship to the things around us are important, I realized that my journey, or my how do you say, what I have to contribute will be most beneficial at home. And so after a lot of traveling through school, I returned home, and I don't know if it was a conflict or more so figuring it out, but I think the biggest challenge was my figuring out, like, what is my contribution to my community, and what am I gonna do? You know, we're constantly fed with the idea that, okay, you go to college, you get into a certain degree, and then you get into this job that contributes to your lahui and yada yada yada, right? And so it was hard for me to wrap my head around kind of that framework. And I think continuing school, when I came back from traveling, I was then doing an internship again, that allowed me to work in the fish pond across the street. You know, that was the best thing about school. It allows for a lot of flexibility, and through scholarship, I was in Kiaholoa STEM program, and I was in Seymour, which is, I don't know what this program is called now, but that allowed me to develop a project of my own, and having that independence and figuring out, okay, you get to develop a project and then you get to get paid for it. You know, that's kind of like the internship with a mentor, you know, by your side. So that mentality and that independence also contributed to the work that I'm doing now. And I think that the most valuable resource that you know, this huaka'i has given me is a stronger relationship to my family, and to my community, and to the people that I can trust, you know, with all of me, because the work that, you know, the work of Aloha ʻAina has to include everybody. It has to include your community. It has to include your ohana, and it has to include them all on a very intimate level, because these are the things that we rely on to live, right? So so that is my biggest resource, I think. Yeah, that constant sense of being able to know that you need those people, right, and those relationships to continue. And then I don't know, where am I at now? Keep me on track, Mina. Where am I at?
I actually wanted to ask you to share with the audience, what exactly do you do? You know, the work that you're involved in. I know what you do. It's super cool. I'm very inspired, but everybody else might not know.
Yes, of course. So me and a couple of my friends, Manoa Johansson and Nahoku Kahana, we developed a nonprofit organization off of the work that we were doing as students, interns at the fish pond, doing water quality. Nahoku was anthropology, Manoa geography. So we utilized our majors towards learning more about the ecosystem that we lived in, right? So the lokoia that we started in was actually the lokoia that we used to play Chase Master, and you know, the mud at the bottom. We never even wanted to go inside, right? It's like, never in our wildest dreams we would think we would develop a job or even bring people together utilizing this place, right? So yeah, we developed the nonprofit. 2017 is when we made it official. we're a growing organization. The name is Hui Ho'olei Maluo. And yeah, we provide, the type of services we provide are student programming. We serve mostly East Hawaii. Our most closest partners are Lanakila Learning Center off of Hilo High School, Kaʻao, which is a Hawaiian immersion school in Keaukaha, and then Kiana La'ahana, which is a Hawaiian culture-based school in Keaukaha. So we provide student programming in restoring and maintaining the lokoi'a here in Keaukaha. And we also do outreach with Ohana. We do Ohana engagement with like the Ka'umeke Kaʻao Ohana. And then also work days, which is like a common kind of event that happens throughout all lokoi'a across the ʻAina. And yeah. Oh, we also put on the Waiuli Ocean Festival, which is the annual kind of community free event for Ohanas of Hilo, surfing competition, holo competition. And then more recently, last year in February, we were able to acquire Kaʻao Maui, a 3-acre lot with the partnership of Ka'umeke Kaʻao. And so originally where we started is at Waiuli, and that is owned by the County of Hawaii. It's a public beach park. So now that we are occupying Kaʻao Maui, we have more autonomy over what we can do, and so there's lots more big things coming, and we're so stoked that we're growing, and yeah, it's really great.
Mahalo nui Kamala for sharing that, Kaʻao. And that definitely gives us a really beautiful picture of how you're able to ho'i and integrate these different knowledge systems and your resources into the community to support these different systems, right? That hanaya malamaya kako pakahia po that support us, our livelihoods. Yeah, mahalo nui. I'm just gonna go ahead and ask Josie to go and please share your Kaʻao with us. Josie, who are you, Josie?
Thank you for this opportunity. Salafalama and aloha. My name is Josie Tupu. You can call me Josie, and I'm from Samoa. I was born in American Samoa, but I was raised and grew up in Samoa on the island of Upolu, which is located on the south of the equator. I grew up in a small community where life depends on the ocean, for food, our small farms, plantations to sustain our own families and even our communities in our village. So my hua, it kind of started from like high school. Our education system is slightly different from like the US education systems because we're kind of follow the British education system. So by high school, you should already know your major or by your senior year. So I choose science, and so you can either be major in science, and that composed with, you have to take math, English, chemistry, physics, and bio. So that's like a full science student. So I was a full science student. Some people, they will choose social science. So you can like choose that path and then go like either do law and that kind of like different major. So I choose science since high school or senior year. And I knew early that I want to do science and do something more research and more conservation. And then after I graduated high school, I left my family home to pursue higher education. And I started with my associate degree in agriculture science in American Samoa Community College. And then I began my long journey across the Pacific Ocean to do my first ever conservation internship with the Native American and Pacific Island research experience program, or in a period in Costa Rica, studying songs of the orange-billed sparrow, which is one of the bird that found in Costa Rica. And it was an eye-opening experience, a wonderful experience that I got to participate in culture exchange with other indigenous tribes and also students from Native American students. And then after that, I moved here straight for college, and then I pursue my bachelor's in environmental studies and geography here at UH Hilo. I choose UH Hilo because it's a small campus and it's a small community, and it's easy to you know, network with your professors and other students, but also make friends. So that's like one reason why I ending up here in this island and decided to study here at UH Hilo, which is one of the best decision that I made. And then during college, I was participate in different school activities, but also school clubs. I was part of the Salmon Club, and I was also part of the International Students Association. And I also volunteer with the Earth Day. So I'm glad that I'm here to share my experience, but also, you know, be part of this Earth Day for this year, which is supposed to be every day, Earth Day, every day. Anyways, yeah, so during college, I also part of Ke Aloha program, and I also did pipes. So I was working for NOAA in Oahu, and my project was to go back home in American Samoa and help the local community create a mapping coastal flood hazards, and also maps that look at how sea level impacts, you know, coastal areas in our islands. So that was my pipes internship project. And then in addition to that, I was able to present those research to conference at ACES conference and also the SECNES conference. And then after I graduated with my bachelor's in environmental studies and geography, I did a kupu internship. I did 2 years actually with Mauna Kea Forest Restoration Project. And I was involved with multiple tasks, from outplanting native plants on Mauna Kea on the 2 restoration areas at Kaʻao Restoration Area and Puʻumali. And I was also participating an assistant in like doing outreach, community outreach for the program, and doing how about with bird count survey, vegetation monitoring, all those conservation tasks that will help monitoring and management for those 2 areas on Mauna Kea, which was a wonderful experience for myself. It really bring me out of my comfort zone, and learn how to communicate with people, and yeah. And adding to that, while I was kupu intern, I was fortunate to be able to travel to Kaho'olawe to do a service trip with other kupu interns, and also went to Pu'ukukui watershed, which really helped me expand my understanding about conservation here in Hawaii, and my own contribution here, and how valuable our work in, you know, to help out with our native forest here, or wildlife here in this island, and obtaining that knowledge that will hopefully one day I can go back home and share with my own community. And then after my kupu internship with Mauna Kea Forest Restoration Project, I work with BISC. I did a 5-month contract with them, working for the Albizia team, but also tag along with the ROT team to help out with some of their work if they do needed help, which is a great experience for myself. Visiting to areas that nobody or only like people in the state or conservation folks can go to. So that was one of the biggest highlight of working in conservation, to have access to those areas and be able to contribute in like building, restoring those natural habitats, and like removing invasive species that are not supposed to be there. And then I worked for the Palila project for a little bit. And after that, I did multiple like different like conservation work and with different agencies. And then like after my BISC, I worked with Palila project. And then after that, I worked for, I was helping one of the PhD student she was doing a research here on this island, looking at the ecohydrology here in Hawaii, comparing it with California, and how, looking at the ecohydrology, but also looking at how invasive can impact, our water source. And then from that, I worked for the ROT. I was working as a HCSU, but I was doing a project with USGS, and the project is the ROT. So collecting samples and from the field, and using the lab to go through those samples and see if there's rot viability is still or if rot is still present in those samples that we collected from the field, and also sorting out ambrosia beetles. And then from there, I took a course at Hilo about wildlife, and then during that semester, your final project, you have to choose a wildlife species, and you have to talk about it and why you choose it. And so I knew from that course that a lot of students in the course, more of them are like about studying birds. So I choose something different, and I decided to choose bats. So I ended up doing a project about bats in New Zealand, and then from there I applied to a position here with the USGS, and I got to work with the OPEA, which was really, I cannot explain how, I still can't even get into words how amazing that experience. Anyways, I worked with them for almost half of the year, and then I'm now continuing on, but with the still with the OPEA project, but as a HCSU workforce development fellow. That's the title that I have. So I'm continuing on. We're working with them, but doing data entry basically, and also helping out with other projects in the USGS. So throughout my journey working with different agencies, there's a lot of I learned a lot about not just by myself, personally, but professional skills that I obtained from different agencies, which really helped build not just my resume, but myself personally, and grow out of. I feel like I grew up a lot. If I reflect back in those years, since I started working in conservation here in Hawaii, and my advice for anybody who wants to work in conservation, just go for it, apply, send out your resume. Even if you don't see the job, just knock on the door for whoever agency that you want to apply for. Always reach out for those opportunities. Even if the opportunity is not posted, just reach out and ask questions. I know working in the field is very challenging. You will come across, even if you working in the office or in the lab or in the field, it's a challenging job, but also very rewarding.
Mahalo nui, Josie. Mahalo everybody, actually. Kamala, Devon, Tita Mary, for sharing your folks. Kaʻao. It was really nice to see, the things that you folks went through to kind of come through that realization and, occupy the current positions that you all occupy at the moment. And we want to turn to the audience at the moment if anyone has any questions. I noticed there's no questions in the chat, but I want to go ahead and ask if maybe Devon and Kamala have any manao or tips to provide for, like Mary and Josie said, right? Just go for my makau kahana, makau kamoloa. Don't be scared of the work, right? Be scared of being lazy, because that won't get you anywhere. But maybe if you guys have some manao to add to Josie and Mary's tips for, haumanos who want to pursue a similar path or who want to get into conservation.
Go for them.
I would have the same advice, is just go for it. Mai maka ukahana, exactly. No scared work. Just get to work and don't stop working.
Yeah, I think adding to that, I kind of think of it now as kind of to give you a visual, build your tool belt kind of in a sense, you know, like you can only get so far building things with your hands, but like build your tool belt, you know, get the skills, get the knowledge, and even, you know, kind of, I don't know, like I have such eloquent ways of saying things, but like keep your ear to the streets too, and just, you know, like one of the big things in conservation now is like kind of understanding how interdisciplinary things are, like how much culture ties into conservation, you know, like history can tie in, you know, writing skills like English grammar and like grant writing and stuff for conservation. Like everything is so like interdisciplinary. So like build your tool belt and just kind of, you know, if you're really interested in conservation, like keep your ear to the street, see what's going on, do an internship, attend talks like this, you know, stuff like that.
Awesome.
And don't, one more thing to add, now that Devin said that, is, you know, don't be afraid to challenge the norm, because oftentimes in conservation fields, right, we come to these challenges where our viewpoints, our ancestors' viewpoints are different from that of others. So we got to remember, where we are. Everywhere is different. So we got to stick to the rules and the way things happen in that certain place and how they should happen for the betterment of that community. Yeah.
Mahalo nui for that, you guys. We actually have a question. I will start with Noel's one. So what is your vision now? What is your hua and where you like go? Where you like get to, where you want to get to? I guess we can just go right down the line, you know? What's the next level? Anybody?
I guess I can go.
Go ahead, Josie.
My next step is going to grad school. I'll be studying grad school next fall. Yes.
Awesome. What program are you going into, Josie?
TCPS. I haven't figured out the project yet, but yes, I'll be under Pat Hart.
Awesome. Anybody else want to go?
I can go. So my vision now, honestly, is to continue contributing to my community in one way or another. I also had the local scholarship where I have to contribute at least 4 years. Another way to incentivize students coming back here to give back to the community. But definitely in the long future, or probably in the next 5 years from now, I hope to also go to graduate school. And I've been trying to think about what direction I wanted to go, because probably Devin can give advice to everyone on this because he's been there, but and maybe even Kamala if she has, but it just feels kind of daunting, because my comfort zone right now is being in this position that, you know, of course, supports me, my family, and I just feel like there's just so much work to be done. So I'm like wondering, when can I transition to that point where I can definitely go back to learning and growing. And I definitely feel at times while I'm in this position, you know, learning the ropes and whatnot, that I wish I just had that awesome, you know, instructor, professor to guide me. But yeah, that's where the, you know, connections come in. So yeah, I just wanted to respond to Noel's like comment earlier, and also his question.
Mahalo, Mary. And know that you have the entire panel here. You know, Josie's about to get into grad school, so she can help, you know, give you some tips on how to get there. And Kamala and as well as Devin graduated. And so they could definitely give you some manao on that path as well. Kamala, you have any manao, Kamala? What's the next level? Where you trying to, you know, the next phase?
More short term, lots of programming. We get summer programming come up. So if you have any kids that are in East Hawaii and you want to sign them up, we'll be in Keaukaha along the coastline. So serving community, that's the next step.
Awesome. Mahalo nui, you guys. Do we have any other questions? Anya, do you see anything else in the chat?
Yeah, I see another question from Kirsten. She says, mahalo to all the presenters. It was fascinating to hear about your journeys and experiences. What do you think UH Hilo should do to recruit students for programs that promote sustainability?
I will share that one way that we can support students going into sustainability is to encourage them to go into internships and programs, and obviously put more funding towards supporting those programs. I will tell you that Kiaholoa STEM, we've been working closely with them. We have been over the years, and they've been bringing students to engage with high school students and provide and be mentors to those students. So, students are doing it independently, and they're probably looking for resources out there to support them through those processes. So, yeah, getting more funding to support those students for sure.
Yeah, I think just kind of that raising awareness and kind of showing them what opportunities are out there too, and especially like just again like the Seymour program you're talking about, Kamala. It's like something that you not only get the experience, but it's nice you get paid as well. So you don't have to worry about working a job on top of that or things. It's kind of showing them what's out there and what's available for sure.
I have them. I know I'm not part of the panelists, but I just want to share. I think outreach would be the one, right? Like we'll expose our homanas at an early stage, right? While they're in high school, and be like, yo, these are the kind of opportunities that exist within your community, and you want to get into this, you can make a career out of it, and bring people who are from those different careers, and from those different agencies, and speak about their experiences, whether it's in academia or in the agency itself, and really spark their interest from a really early age. For us as local kids, like we're just a part of the ʻAina, and Aloha ʻAina is just a part of who we are. But it wasn't until I got to college and I experienced pipes and I was like, wait, I can turn this into a career and get paid for this? Like, that was mind blowing for me, and here I am today. I work for the pipe office, so it can be done, right? We can make a career out of the things that we love to do, and at the same time help our ʻAina and our poe, that's just my manao.
I feel like you guys already touched all the great points, especially with your stories, and I'm just so inspired right now because like I was a product of that, of course, with introducing environmental opportunities, like work that could be done here, and going to UH Hilo just really expanded that. That's why I'm kind of stuck at this question. But I feel like UH Hilo has been doing its part to promote sustainability, especially through culture. But yeah, I feel like this is a question that requires thinking out of the box, but it's such a wonderful question. So thank you so much, Kirsten, for asking, and to my fellow panelists for providing wonderful responses.
Mahalo, Mary. We have actually reached the time, and we don't want to keep you folks any longer. We want to honor your folks' time. So, Anya, Drew, you have any last words? I just want to say mahalo nui, kia ʻopo pakaya pau to our audience, our panelists for sharing, and yeah. Mahalo nui. Okay, I guess that brings us to the end. Yeah, go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
Mahalo nui, everyone.
Yeah, we just wanted to mahalo you guys. We really appreciate it, what you've shared. It's been wonderful. Mahalo to our participants, our panelists, to Mina for setting this up and organizing everything, for Anya serving as our moderator, and all of the attendees today. We really appreciate you folks. Mahalo nui.
Yeah. Mahalo. Aloha.
Mahalo. Mahalo.
Mahalo.